And so we'll get started with roll call. Yeah.
Sure. Commissioner Campisi?
Here.
Commissioner Chabot?
Here.
Commissioner Garcia?
Here.
Commissioner Huynh is marked absent. Commissioner Wong?
Here.
Commissioner Lewin?
Here.
Commissioner Mao?
Here.
Commissioner Ozkan?
Here.
Commissioner Sorgan?
Here.
Commissioner Tagboy? It's marked absent. Commissioner Weiss? Is absent. Vice Chair Ramcharan?
Here.
And Chairperson Reeds?
Here.
Okay, so just want to note the absences of Commissioners Cho, Edwards, Huynh, Tagboy, and Weiss. We do have a quorum, so we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, awesome. So with that, we'll do the salute to the flag. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so then we'll move on to item D. So is there a motion to approve the order of agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Awesome. Okay. And I don't think there's any blue folder items.
There is not. We do just need to do a vote for approving
yeah.
the order.
Okay, all those in favor to approve the order?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Okay, and just for confirmation, Commissioner Chabot, were you the one who did the second? Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. So since there aren't any blue folder items, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Okay. Do I have to do F1?
So these ones we can approve all at once unless
Okay.
someone wants to pull an item to discuss. So it's just the affidavit of posting and then the December commission meeting minutes. So we can do a motion to approve all at once.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, and we do need a vote on that as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Great. Okay. So there aren't any excluded consent calendar items, so then we'll move on to item H1. So that's public participation on non-agenda items. Are there any people online or anyone from the audience?
There is no one on Zoom, no one in the audience, and we do not have any e-comments.
Perfect. Okay. So since we can just move past, right?
Yes, we'll move on to the next
Okay.
item.
Okay, so since there aren't any items contained from previous agendas, then we'll move on to item J1. So that's a presentation from the Redondo Beach Police Department.
Perfect. So I'll go ahead and just quickly introduce the item. As the commission will remember, in November, when you all were working on your kind of strategic plan for the next year, the number one item that you really wanted to focus on was e-bikes throughout the city. And so we invited a representative from our Redondo Beach Police Department. We have Officer Kyle Ostrom here. He's going to provide some general information for you. And then we can certainly go through a form of discussion with this. Please know that this could be a multi-part conversation with the commission. So if there's information tonight that would be helpful for you, that we don't have the information tonight, we can certainly return for another discussion in the next few months. So please just know that this is really just kind of setting that foundational information so that we know how best to respond to the needs and the desires of the commission as it relates to e-bikes. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Officer Lofstrom.
I don't probably even need that. I'm kind of loud. Commission, thank you for having me. I am your community-based officer for the Redondo Beach Police Department. My name is Kyle Ostrom. I've worked at the police department for about 13 years. The last 4 being your community-based officer. I am in charge of some administrative duties and also all of our community outreach, engagement, crime prevention, anything that has to do with creating a relationship between the community and the police department, preventing crime in any way besides arresting people or writing tickets, and humanizing the badge as well. I like to throw that one out there. So that's me. I'd like to say thank you for having me up here. It brings me joy and pride to see our youth involved in something like this. It really does. So as somebody with 2 young kids now, I gotta stop talking about my kids or I'm gonna get emotional. So why am I here? E-bikes, kind of a big topic. So by the way, I'll give you a lay of the land. I'm gonna give you guys kind of my spiel, and then I'll let you guys ask me any questions or engage in any sort of discussion or concerns you may have. E-bikes have obviously become extremely popular, not just with our youth, with everybody. There seems to be a high amount of attention on the use by our youth. There are positive things. They're extremely popular. I ride one sometimes. Every now and again, the police department has e-bikes and we get to go out and ride them, like when there's a big race in the city or other event where having a bicycle is fairly useful if you've been to the Riviera Summerfest or Springfest, or if you've seen the city during the 4th of July. With considerations for alternative travel besides vehicles, it became very popular. Riding a bike with no engine is a little bit more physically demanding and a little bit harder to do right before you go to school or work. So this has become an extremely popular thing all throughout and an extremely useful thing. I am here because I want to keep you guys safe, realistically. Anyone who rides a bike, but specifically our youth. The youth obviously tends to have a little bit less of an understanding of the complexities of, or nuances of laws and so on, and, slightly less consideration, perhaps, than maybe your adult counterparts. So that's number one. We want to protect not just you guys, but other people on the road, drivers, pedestrians, etc., and to prevent you guys from getting hurt or getting a ticket or getting your bike stolen or what have you. What's an e-bike? So this is a big question with something I'm going to bring up later towards the end of this spiel here. But an e-bike is a pedal or throttle assisted bicycle. It's not designed to replace human power, and different classes of e-bike exist, but all the rules are kind of still similar. The one main important one I like to bring up is a bicycle is an e-bike. It cannot have more than a 750 watt engine or motor, they call it. That's the main key, and that again pertains into like the electric dirt bike conversation that I'll get into later. Some best practices. The most common stuff that we see is, especially with youth, is the use of a helmet. It is state law for anyone under the age of 18 to wear a helmet. I know it doesn't look cool. I see everyone do the same things, which is not wear it, and they have it like on their handlebar or in their backpack, or they'll put it on and they'll do the non-buckle, which essentially nearly makes it useless. You'd have to get really lucky to have that still be useful if you were involved in some sort of collision. I get it, they're not cool. I remember being a teenager and not wanting to wear one. When I was in like 6th grade, Razor scooters were invented, and I was very, very keen on not wearing a helmet with my Razor scooter. Now I'm like, wow, that was extremely irresponsible of me. And I was probably being rude to my parents, who care about me very much. Please, what we see a lot of is unpredictable riding. So your best practice is to ride the opposite, predictably. When you're riding along and you kind of want to do the swerve or what have you, or you make a turn without making an indication, that's what other people aren't anticipating. So if you're doing what you think other people would expect of you on the conveyance, then you're less likely to get hurt or get in an unintended accident. Okay, big one. One person per bicycle. Some of the e-bike models have a particularly long seat or elongated seat. It is still one seat. It is still prohibited to have 2 people on that seat. Even though the manufacturers make it that way, that does not mean it's consistent with state law, and we see that with our electric motorcycles and so on, and other conveyances that sometimes people take out on the road. Just because it exists that way does not mean it's lawful. 2 people on a bicycle would specifically need separate seats attached thereto, which if you want an example, if you've ever seen kind of the goofy looking tandem bicycles with two people riding and you're kind of right up on somebody as you're riding, but there's two separate seats and sets of handlebars, that would be what would be considered a legal additional seat on a bicycle. Hands on the handlebars. We see a lot of riding with no hands, usually engaged in some sort of stunt-like or just semi-daring activity, but that can go wrong very quickly. And a very small spill can become a very serious injury just on a fluke. And speed, we gotta talk about speed. There wasn't necessarily a concern for this on bicycle. Most of the bicycles that were moving at speed that would be of concern would be road cyclists, the people that engage in, those long bike rides and they wear the tights and they have the very high-end road bikes. But they were operating at a level of defensive riding that was much more considerable than somebody who's in middle school or high school. E-bikes can get upwards of 20, 25 miles an hour, maybe even 30 with a hill helping. And speed is where you get in trouble because as you increase the speed, you reduce your ability to react in a considerable amount of time. That would keep you safe. Where can you ride? You're technically entitled to the roadway. Bicycles, per the California state law, would be legal on a roadway, and it would, in theory, be prohibited on a sidewalk, but we're not going to ask that you ride your bike on PCH or something. We would encourage sidewalk riding where it's a much more safer alternative. We encourage you to use your judgment on a safe alternative. Yes. Oh, is that what's causing that? You can literally turn it off unless, they have to have it, huh? Okay. I just feel like I'm like blasting my own ears out. Sorry, guys. But on a smaller residential road, yes, the roadway is preferred. There are prohibited sidewalks in the city of Redondo Beach. The west side of the Esplanade is a prohibited sidewalk. And now all the sidewalks surrounding the high school are prohibited as well because there's considerable pedestrian traffic. So the distinction between the two choices or the discretion you use in those choices is important in the sense that you're talking about motor vehicles versus pedestrians. Use your best judgment. Usually smaller, more residential, slower speed streets are better for street riding, and majors are better for sidewalk riding. Please look at signs, posted signs, particularly this red octagonal one called the stop sign. And it's not necessary. I understand that you can approach a stop sign and see very well and ride through quickly without even stopping. And I know that everyone has seen adults and road cyclists do the same thing. We ticket people all the time for that. It is a violation. It is far safer to stop. The absolute technical way to stop is bring your bike to a stop, remove a foot from the pedal, and put a foot on the ground. Most of the time, if you slow down considerably, you're not pedaling through, you're picking your head up and you're looking at the different directions. That's usually enough to dramatically increase the safety and come as close to complying with the law as humanly possible without becoming technical. Please do that, no matter what. And you're like, I don't see any cars, but the car you don't see is the car that a guy is having a medical emergency or woman or what have you, who's traveling 70 miles an hour and they're 200 feet as you approach and they close that distance in a matter of seconds, or they don't see you and you don't stop, so they proceed to collide with you. It's more so about defensive riding, not because we don't think that a rider in general or a youthful rider is capable. It's more so about adhering to defensive riding to make sure you don't end up in a situation. If everyone was defensively driving and defensively riding and defensively walking, we would have near zero collisions of any kind. Again, what red lights as well? Please, stop signs and red lights, huge. This is a big one too, is when you're looking around and you're riding defensively, like look for the eye contact. You should assume people don't see you. Try and make that eye contact, try and engage. Be the safe one that's like, you know what, I'm just gonna wait, let all these cars go by before I proceed. So those are the big ones we see, hand signals, etc. Nighttime riding. This is more, I overlap this with personal safety. So I have like a personal safety section in here I wrote up. And that includes the ride defensively, but at night, not just for your safety as like an individual in regards to a number of crime prevention phenomenon, but it's California state law to have a front-facing white light, normal light on the front of your bike, and a red rear reflector or light on the back of your bike. That's state law, and it's absolutely essential. You become, with no lights on your bike, you become invisible at night. If you're going to ride at night, like wear something, like it doesn't have to be cool, but just wear it while you're riding. And when you get to your destination and you want to dress cool and you're at the, just you strip it off and you throw it in a little bag or what have you. And don't ride beyond your skill level. If something feels, you turn onto a street and it feels uncomfortable because it's a little bit of a more main street, take a different route. There's no harm in changing your path just to get a safer ride. When this topic was brought to my attention that had been discussed here, I think it was revolved around a series of incidents we had with e-bike theft and e-bike component theft that was happening at the high school, and a couple of kids were arrested, I think. But let's talk about your safety and how you take care of your property. So obviously having a bike lock. The best types of locks are the large metal U-locks. Any chain lock is more likely to be able to be cut. I know it's a little easier to loop them through things and so on, but those U-locks are pretty still user-friendly, and they're much, much harder to defeat. Lock the entire frame, not the wheel. Still has to be said. Wheels can be removed and very quickly, and the whole bike frame taken and easily replaced. With e-bikes, we have additional components. So you're talking about batteries, special lights, equipment, additional equipment people put on, and so on. If you're gonna leave it with the bike and it's detachable, understand that risk. So that's the first part of that, is understanding that risk. If you don't want that to happen, I see kids who ride with backpacks and they just slide the battery out and take it with them. I couldn't think of anything. I mean, that was brilliant. I saw a kid do that and I was like, oh, I'll never get his battery stolen. Because you have to change the thing and charge it all the time. It doesn't make sense to lock it down in some way. There may be things being invented out there, created by the manufacturers of these bikes that are battery locks, etc. Invest in things like that to keep your property safe. And then we've been dealing with this issue for decades of bike theft before e-bikes were ever invented. Document the serial number of your bicycle. The serial number is like a license plate. We have a stolen property system, and in my 13 years of law enforcement, I have ran bicycle serial numbers through that system thousands upon thousands of times, and I think I found a reported stolen bicycle like twice. But that immediately makes a person who is in possession of that arrestable, and it's how you would get it back. So the serial numbers are usually on the bottom side of the frame, like where the pedals go into the frame, or sometimes on the center pillar below the handlebars. Those are the two places we see them the most. Don't leave them unattended. Don't trust people you don't know with them. If you go somewhere and you're gonna park it, try and keep it within your eyesight. If you're going to a restaurant or a Starbucks across the street, where every high schooler goes for the last 20 years. That was just a joke. I wanted to make you guys laugh. I like the Starbucks too. The most important reason this matters is for your safety. Again, I have two small children, and like I put a helmet on them to like get on these little podunk scooters in our driveway. So just from me personally to you personally, your parents or you have people in your life, adults, grown-ups, guardians, whomever, that love and care about you, and they would be devastated if something happened to you. Please wear a helmet. Please, that will save your life. A simple fall and the wrong angle or the wrong landing with the most important part of your body can be extremely tragic. Defensive riding. Please do not assume anything about when you're riding around. Most of the kids who are old enough usually to get their license start to experience that phenomenon as they're driving. But a lot of the youth that does not have their license, they don't quite register that threat assessment yet. But please ride defensively and assume. Last but not least, the electric dirt bikes. Surons, Talerias, anybody else? Other brands. Segway has a brand. Anyone knows? I've seen so many. They're not legal. They're not street legal. A Senate bill was just passed that codifies and defines all those things, and there's going to be applicable state law that is much more significant penalties than just running a stop sign on a bicycle. That would be like I built some random machine in my garage and I jumped on it and rode out in the street with it and was just like, yeah, this is cool because I'm just having fun. I get that it's fun. We're not trying to spoil anybody's fun. That's the rude comments that I get trolled with on our Instagram all the time is like, you're just ruining kids' fun. But that's not necessarily what it's about. Aside from the fact that they're extremely dangerous, I've watched hundreds of auto vehicle deaths, and over half are related to a motorcycle. It's pretty much motorcycle capable machine that kids who have no license, no nothing, are riding around on the streets. They're not legal. They're unregistered. They have to display registration. You need a Department of Transportation helmet. That's a requirement. You don't have a valid license, a valid motorcycle endorsement, etc. It would kind of just, I understand that it's fun, but we have laws in society for a reason. If we start exercising our own discretion over them, that chain slowly, Mr. Mayor, that chain slowly starts to break down further and further until you get into serious and tragic crime. So that's all the things I have to say about those things and how to help you and how you can share with your peers or act on that information. And if you have any questions or anything, I am all yours.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Yes.
I guess, like, in your expert opinion, how do you think, like, a youth council like us, how do you think we could kind of use what you told us to spread a message? Or, like, do you have any suggestions on how we can help improve bike safety? Or maybe you talk about, like, bike lanes or something like that, if you think bike lanes would help.
So, thankfully, there's an expert sitting right behind me. But this is an active conversation at the highest level of the law of the land, is bike lanes in the city, bike usage, how to make it more bike friendly, etc. Getting involved on that level there's a number of organizations. There's non-government organizations that are dedicated to cycling and e-bikes and etc. who push for friendlier streets for bicycles and so on. Redondo Union High School is extremely proactive in this. They have several rules in place that demand or encourage at least participation in like an e-bike training course before you're allowed to park the bike on campus, which most kids didn't want to comply with. But if I had any organizing body can start to grow. So if you guys created a movement for bike safety or anything like that, hey, here's what we do. We go out and ride, or we started a club or what have you. That kind of stuff builds the camaraderie and really is leading and modeling behavior. Is it well received on a grand scale for high schoolers? I don't know. If I knew how to reach every single high schooler, I'd be awesome probably. I know how to reach some, but not everybody. But modeling good behavior is number one. Being involved at the highest law of the land in our city is city council to push for improvements in our streets and roadways to be more bike-friendly and improve pedestrian and vehicular and bicycle safety. That's all good work and something they actively engage in regularly. So just to give the youth a voice in that front is something you guys can do. But realistically, with you and your peers, modeling good behavior and being a leader, I think, is the most effective. When everyone's going to jump and ride away with helmets, be the one that puts your helmet on and is confidently able to say to the others, like, hey, get your helmets on, dude. I don't want to be the one calling your mom or what have you, make it a joke. I don't know. I'm getting old, so I'm not as cool as I used to be. But leading and modeling behavior. I have a friend. I'm going to tell a quick story as an example. Confidence is huge. Confidence is the biggest key in every single thing that we deal with you guys. If you go out there and you confidently say no to drugs or you confidently lead good behavior with e-bikes. I had a friend, him and I used to love Pokemon, and we would play well into high school. And I remember some kids from my high school walked by and I was like, whoa, I don't want to be seen playing Pokemon. And he was like, what are you talking about? And he just walked right by and was like, Pokemon's the best game I've ever played in my entire life, so confidently. And they like laughed. And one of them was like, oh, I play too. And I was like, oh, wow. Confidence is huge. Go out and lead with confidence and model good behavior for your peers.
Cool. Do you guys have any other questions or things you want to ask him?
Sure, I have a question. Well, first off, thank you so much for being here today. I was curious more about the serial number things. It's been a while since I've rode a bike, but I didn't know anything about that. And could you kind of walk us through what those are a little more in detail?
So every single bicycle comes with a serial number. It's extremely unknown, so don't feel bad for not knowing. Some 99% of the time when I go to a stolen bicycle call or have gone to one, I'm like, hey, do you have the serial number for your bike? They're like, what? They just don't know. You'd be surprised how much of your property has a serial number. Would I expect you to go through your entire house and make a manifesto of all the serial numbers of all your property in the random event it got stolen? Yes, I would. No, I'm just kidding. But something important to your property as an act of taking responsibility and being accountable and prepared. It's hard information to get out there. I've spent 4 years in this job telling people about it, social media videos, campaigns, flyers everywhere. Every bike shop I've inundated with my flyers about locking your bike and documenting the serial number. E-bikes are, and the advent of technology and online stores and so on and so forth has made them a little easier to access because you can go back online and potentially get that information from a receipt or something like that that's stored digitally. But every single bike has one. They're usually in the same exact place every time, and the most common are on the bottom side of the frame, right where the pedals go into the frame, or on the basically the pillar that would take you up to the handlebars part of the frame. You write it down, you take a picture of your bike. I'm sorry, in fact, I can't believe I forgot to say that. We have a bike registration on the city police department website where you go in, you describe your bike, put your information in, as much contact information as you'd like, and a picture and the serial number of your bike. And when we, in the city of Redondo Beach only, run a bicycle over the air to our dispatch for them to run through a stolen property system, that would be a statewide system. They also check our own ledger of registered bicycles in case it's one of the bicycles that's been registered in the city of Redondo Beach, and then we would have immediate access to contact the victim via name, address, phone number, or email. So it's important in all serialized property. The one you know most well that you've seen and know of and would be shocked if anyone didn't know is like the license plate or VIN number for a vehicle. Everybody knows about that. It's the same way though, all these bicycles have a serial number. You document the make, model, and frame and have a picture. If it ever does get stolen, it's extremely useful information in its recovery. Hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions or things that they would like to discuss, like surrounding this presentation?
Before you do that, Chair, we do have a public comment. We have Brianna Egan. Brianna, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, Youth Commission. My name is Brianna Egan. I am a volunteer in the community with local bike advocacy organizations, including South Bay Bicycle Coalition and South Bay Forward. I'm really grateful that you all as a commission have been interested in the area of e-bikes and bike safety, especially given that so many of our high school students ride e-bikes to school, and I think that trend will just continue. And the other thing that I appreciate is that our city has also taken a really proactive approach, emphasizing what we call the 3 E's, which are education, enforcement, and engineering. And so I think you all heard a great overview from Officer Kyle about the enforcement aspect and what the different classes of e-bikes are. And I think it is really important that we continue to look at regulating the non-street legal e-motorcycles. But at the same time, also recognize that e-bikes are an important mode of transportation, and oftentimes the best way to improve safety is to have those separated and upgraded bike lanes and separate infrastructure from car lanes. Really appreciate your questions in regards to that. Something I wanted to share as an idea for you all for next steps, if you're interested in pursuing this as a subcommittee or as a commission, is to look at if you all want to discuss locations for bike lanes and protected bike lanes that you'd like to see in the city, especially the routes that teens and students will commonly take. I think this kind of feedback would be really valuable for staff at Public Works. And I think that the City Council is also very interested in hearing your feedback when it comes to things that pertain to youth safety. So I really want to encourage you all, if you're interested in pursuing something like that, having separate discussions with Public Works on the bicycle master plan and identifying priority protected bike lanes. In addition to that, another option available for you all is to request to hear a presentation from the community organizations. I know that South Bay Bicycle Coalition has been working on getting the bicycle master plan implemented, and so they would be happy to present perhaps a presentation on that progress for you all. I just really want to encourage and thank you all for taking up this item. And I think there are lots of opportunities for you all to get involved, whether it's advocacy or leadership on campus. Thank you.
Okay, Chair, we do also have 2 e-comments for this item. They are on the city website linked to the agenda, so just want to mention that for the record. And then I don't know if our audience member wanted to speak on this item at all. Mayor, did you want to speak on this? Yeah, he's busy. Okay, so we can go ahead and close public comment.
Okay, I actually had a quick question. I know that something that a few commission members have asked about or proposed, and what our commenter talked about was infrastructure, so bike lanes or protected bike lanes. Do you feel like those are more effective than us really trying to spread a message or do student advocacy stuff? Or yeah.
I suppose I can speculate on my experience. It takes an equal combination of everything. Like they said, education, enforcement, and engineering. Engineering would be infrastructure. I personally like engineering and infrastructure because it's more of a root cause rather than a response. Heavy enforcement is obviously great and effective. I think I've seen it be effective. But all 3 of these have pros and cons. You change the infrastructure and something turns out really great one way, and then a new problem arises that you didn't think about. When you go to enforcement, you turn up the enforcement and we start to gain a ton of compliance, and then all the relationship all the relationship building I've done goes to waste because now all the high schoolers don't like the police anymore because we've been hammering them with tickets. And education is, you educate everyone and get them well informed. How do you gain participation in that? What effect does it have? How long does it last? So there's pros and cons to everything. I think that is the most well-said version, is a combination of the three is what's necessary. Education, enforcement, engineering, and I'll add an A to that, and that would be accountability. We have to be accountable for ourselves and do the right thing because it is the right thing, and it's a matter of principle, and that's where modeling good behavior comes in, and always doing the right thing comes in.
Yeah, I think what you said, we could really create something on this, like especially what the speaker before you said about bike lanes. I think that like treating the problem not as just a way, like a symptom, but like the root is that there's not like a safe way for bikes to get around these high traffic areas like schools. And obviously there's lots of cities where bike lanes work really well, and there's probably a lot of research on that too. So I think that maybe, I don't know what we can really do. I don't know the logistics of putting a bike lane in an area, but we could definitely advocate or maybe work with Public Works, as they said as well, to build some sort of bike lanes or infrastructure ways to, because I do know that like the e-bikes and all of the bike accidents, it would be helped if there was more like separation between cars and bikes.
Just a suggestion, I personally am an e-bike user, and every morning I go on Redondo Avenue. I'm looking on it on Google Maps right now, but it's usually really, really busy, and for bikers to like get in the way of all of the traffic, it's like very hard to like be balanced with the other cars. So that's just like a suggestion to possibly create like a bike lane in that area that's very convenient for other high school users.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I live in North Redondo, and when I would bike to my middle school, I used the bike path, which I thought was really helpful because it helped you avoid like all the major roads like Artesia, and it was just a place for only like pedestrians and bikers. So I think that, I think they extended the North Redondo bike path, but I think that if we continued it to the high school, I think that would be really convenient for everyone here.
Yeah, Chair, if I may, what we could do is, if it sounds like everyone seems to be trending towards some of the infrastructure improvements, what we could do is ask Public Works to come to an upcoming meeting, and you could have that one-on-one FaceTime with them, and they could talk about the opportunities and give you a little insight on the process for looking into that. And maybe they're working on a project where we could even get some of you more one-on-one with that. So just to kind of throw that out there as an option as you guys kind of finalize this discussion, that we could easily do that.
Yeah, I will say also beyond bike safety, I feel like bike lanes are just good for the community too, because like cities where you have a place to bike, like you'll see families biking together, or like they just can get to the beach faster, or they can just move around. And it's also just like better for like a community if you have like an active lifestyle too. So I think bike lanes could have like a lot of good effects on nearby areas.
Awesome. Okay. So if there aren't any other comments surrounding this, thank you so much for presenting.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you coming down here and like spending your time with us.
I am honored. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Chair, before we wrap this up, I just want to confirm, at one of the next meetings, would you all like to talk to Public Works about bike lanes and kind of get more details on that process?
Yes.
Okay, we can certainly do that. And just throwing it out there, certainly you can even just kind of simmer on it. I don't even need to hear from you tonight on it, but just a thought that I had when Officer Lostrom was mentioning how, something like the serial numbers, that definitely seemed to resonate with you all and something you didn't know. And so education is certainly an important piece to this. We could also do this through subcommittee work. We have our communications subcommittee, and maybe we even do this in collaboration with RUTV. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Redondo? Okay. And maybe we do like a social media takeover where we do some sort of like e-bike campaign with you guys actually doing videos or some sort of, activation with that. And again, in collaboration with RUTV. See if there's something we can do a little bit more outwardly social media wise on the education piece, but then also kind of hitting the engineering, the second and E, because really we can't do too much with the enforcement with the 3 E's that we were talking about. But so just something else to think about. We don't have to do this one by one. If there's another arm to this while we wait for Public Works to come to the upcoming meeting and we have the subcommittees do something on the education side, we can do that and we can help kind of navigate the subcommittee through that as well. Again, it doesn't have to be that, but just to kind of get your mind kind of percolating on some opportunities of how you can all focus on this, just throwing it out there. Okay, so we will work on getting Public Works at an upcoming meeting so we can talk specifically about bike lanes throughout the city. And then throughout the next few months, if you guys have ideas, please feel free to shoot them my way and we'll figure out how to bring them up to the commission.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Ellie, I may be out of order, but have they seen the bicycle master plan?
I don't believe so. So we can definitely.
You could get that
Yep.
from Public Works and distribute
Yeah.
it. That will show what we're planning to do, and you can compare to what's out there. Can't afford everything all at once, but we are trying to achieve it.
Yeah, so I'll get you all a copy of the bicycle master plan.
Awesome. Okay. Is there a motion to receive and file this presentation?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Awesome. So then we'll move on to item J2, which is the staff liaison report.
So don't have too much to share this evening. As you all know, our teen center is still open, still doing regular activities. The calendar is on the website. I did not provide one for you this evening. I did it for 1 month. Just wanted to let you guys let me know, is that something you would like me to provide for you, the printout on the dais when you arrive? If not, it's always online. You're always welcome to do that. And we do our weekly social media calendars for that. So hopefully you're at least following Redondo Teens on Instagram. Please share it widely. We want to make sure we get that information out. And then please also stop by and we'll continue to make changes to the programming and services there to make sure it meets the needs of all of our teens. And then secondly, just want to give you a heads up that for next month, we do have our transit team will be here to provide a presentation to you about Beach Cities Transit. That was an item that you all kind of discussed a little bit briefly while we were talking about our strategic plan for the next year for the commission. And the transit team wanted to come and speak to you directly and hear from you about your concerns and struggles and experiences and things they maybe can enhance or just continuing to do as they have made improvements. So they will be here in February. And following up on the previous item, I will work to get our Public Works team here at an upcoming meeting as well. So that concludes my reports.
Awesome. Okay. Do we have to receive and file that?
No.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So then we'll move on to item K, which is commission member items and future agenda topics. Is there anything anyone...
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off what happened was discussed earlier. I think as a member of the communications subcommittee, I think it would really be of value if we could spread what the officer said tonight. I know it was a lot of information and a lot of new information for most of us, and I think it's something that we could really work on and getting out to the community.
Mm-hmm. So I should have also said in my report that because the holidays, our offices were closed for about 2 weeks, we weren't able to get the initial subcommittee meeting started. We will be doing that before our February meeting. So when we do get the communications subcommittee together, that will be one of the main discussion points of how we can potentially get that information out there, whether it's through flyers, social media, however we want to do that. So thank you. We'll make sure we discuss that.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. And then I don't have to receive and file, right?
I'm sorry?
Do I need to receive and file that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. With that, I'll move on to the adjournment of the meeting. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Awesome. Okay, so this meeting's now adjourned.